Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles. In my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Make sure to follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and ask them about their Stray Cats Club for special perks. Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either June the 15th or 16th, 2021. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? I want to thank all of you that watch this video week after week. I really appreciate your support. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment, hitting the like button and subscribing if you haven't already done so, I would absolutely appreciate that. Also, I would like to invite all of you to watch my final order cutoff videos that I put out each week as well. I get more views on this video than I do on that video, and I actually think that that video has a lot of valuable information. So I highly recommend you check it out if you're so inclined. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with the content of this video. First, by looking back to my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was The Nice House on the Lake from DC Comics and James Tynion IV. And the question remains, was it a worthy pick to be my just one book pick of the week? And the answer is, it's by James Tynion IV. Yes, it was. No, in all seriousness, even though I'm a big, gigantic fan of James Tynion IV, every time I pick up something, a new issue from him or a new title from him, I read it with fresh eyes. I do not read it with any kind of expectation that, oh, this is going to be good. You know, I just read it to enjoy it for what it is. And James Tynion IV never ceases to impress. The Nice House on the Lake was no exception. It was really, really good. The ending was a little bit predictable of the first issue. Was a little bit predictable. I mean, they kind of set things up in the very beginning and you're just kind of like, all right, I can kind of see where this is going. But as far as where the rest of the series is going to go from issues number 2 through 12, I'm not sure. We still got a long way to go, and the events of issue number 1 were momentous. If you haven't already picked up this book, I highly recommend you do so. You will have a difficult time finding the A cover, however. The A cover is regularly going from anywhere from $17 to $20 after shipping. I think that that's legitimate to include that. So you really can't get it for less than $17 to $20 right now. That's like $15 to $12 without the shipping. But it's the A covers have dried up. They're going to be hard to find. It's because people are reading this title and they're really, really enjoying it. You can still find the B cover with that wonderful Martin Simmons cover for cover price from time to time and place to place. So I highly recommend that at the very least you pick up that cover to read and then put the rest of it on your pull. It's really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it, and I absolutely am glad that it was my just one book pick of the week from 2 weeks ago. All right, the next part of this video is where I do my cover pick of the week, and I've decided this week I don't have a cover pick. I looked over everything that is coming out this week, and I decided there's nothing there that jumped out at me, but I do have kind of sort of one honorable mention that I will mention later in the video. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the books that I wanted to feature this week, the new comic books that I wanted to feature. First, there are 5 that I'm going to feature, presented in no particular order, and then we will end with the 6th book, which is my just one book pick for this week. All right, the first book that I want to feature this week is Demon Days Mariko, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics and, of course, Peach Momoko. Here's the description. In the shadow of Kirisaki Mountain, a secret history comes to light. The Demon Days saga by Stormbreaker Peach Momoko continues. Mariko Yashida hears mysterious voices and has strange dreams that feel real. Her red-headed maid, who dresses all in black, might know more than she lets on. What is the connection between Mariko, the creatures called Oni, and Kirisaki Mountain? Find out in the next installment of this tale of magic, monsters, and Marvel characters like you've never seen them before. Beautifully rendered by Peach Momoko. This is book 2 of 5 of the Demon Days saga. All right. Issue number 1 was Demon Days X-Men. It came out, it seems like a long time ago. Now we've got this Mariko one. The first one was fine. The first one was good. The first one I enjoyed. I'm interested in seeing what else is to come from this series from Peach Momoko. It's completely different from basically anything that I've ever read featuring these characters. So it's a little odd how different the style is and how different the story is, but then how familiar the characters are at the same time. So there's a little bit of incongruity there. But I did enjoy the first one. I am curious about the second one, so I wanted to flag it as an honorable mention of sorts for this week. The next book I want to mention to you is Planetsized XMen, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. This is a one-shot. They came to slay. The Hellfire Gala rages on, but bigger things are afoot a world away. Make no mistake, this is an X-Men book drawn by superstar artist Pepe Larraz. It's absolutely the most important issue of the month. All right, so it's 48 pages. It's a little oversized. It's a $5 book. That's not so bad. Listen, you put in the description, it's the most important issue of the month. Yeah, that comes across a bit like hyperbole, and yeah, it seems like you might be overstating it a little bit. But in a month that's filled with X-Men titles at the Hellfire Gala, and they're saying that this is the most important issue of the month, all right, I'm curious. Now, I'm an X-Men fan, and I'm a fan of, like, giant-sized X-Men, so you give me a planet-sized X-Men, you're starting to kind of trigger me a little bit. You say it's the most popular thing, the most important issue of the month. Now you're really triggering me. So, I'm going to be picking this up. I like the X-Men. I'm triggered by the description. I don't want to have any FOMO about it, so I'm picking it up. It could be important, it could be inconsequential, I'm not sure. But at the very least, I wanted to make sure that you had it on your radar. The next book that I want to mention this week is Nightwing number 81 from DC Comics. Here is the description. Dick Grayson trades out his Eskrima sticks for a magnifying glass and a sleuth hat to investigate Bloodhaven's new mayor, Melinda Zuko, and find out how the daughter of the man who murdered Dick's parents came to power in Nightwing's city. But his investigative adventure is cut short when he comes face to face with the most horrendous villain in the history of Bloodhaven, Heartless. All right, first I want to mention that this A cover here is my honorable mention for cover pick of the week. I like it. There's just something about it that I just really like a lot. And it doesn't hurt that this is the first full appearance and first cover appearance of Heartless. Yes, a new bad guy who had his first cameo appearance in Nightwing 79. Now he is getting his first full appearance. People have been really excited about this Nightwing title, I believe since issue 78, when Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo took over as the creative team on this book. In fact, that first issue has nothing key about it other than the new creative team taking over, and it shot up in value a little bit. So that just speaks to people's general excitement for this title right now. Well, now they're giving you what appears to be the first full appearance of a new character that they've created. And I, for one, am standing up and taking notice. I am going to pick up at least one copy of this. If I can maybe get my hands on a couple extra copies of this, I might go ahead and do that. Once again, with the excitement of this creative team on this title right now, this title's general increase in popularity, and this being a brand new character and also a cool looking one, I'm very curious and very interested. I might suggest that if you haven't already planned on picking this up, you pick it up yourself as well. All right, the next book that I want to mention is Static, Season 1, Issue 1 of a 6-issue limited series from DC Comics. Here's the description. At long last, the most famous face of the Milestone universe is making his shocking return. Bullied nerd Vigil Hawkins wasn't the kind of kid you'd normally find on the streets at a protest, but like everyone else in the city of Dakota, he was fed up. Unfortunately, the first time he stood up to raise his voice, the world turned upside down. The experimental tear gas released that day left some of his classmates maimed or dead, but it left Virgil and others with stunning new abilities. Virgil has power inside him now, real power, the ability to channel and manipulate electromagnetic fields. But there's anger burning inside him too. What is he supposed to do about all this? And first and foremost, what is he supposed to do about his bullies now that they've got superpowers too? A dynamic creative team of new comics voices and Milestone Media veterans joined forces to open up a new chapter in the story of the most iconic black teen superhero in comics history. All right, first I'm going to address that last line. The most iconic black teen superhero in comics history. Maybe in DC Comics history, but in a world where Miles Morales is currently as popular as he is, I don't know that you can say that Static is the most iconic black teen superhero in comics history. But that doesn't take away some of the importance that this character has. With the whole Milestone imprint kind of making a return here in DC, and some of these characters having their titles reinvigorated in DC Comics these days, I mean, it makes sense they're starting out with Static. I think he was the most popular character to come out of Milestone, so it makes sense to have him here first. Ultimately, all the political nature of the story itself and the world we live in aside, it has to be a good story. It has to be well told. It has to be, something that people want to read and enjoy. But in the same token, we do need more characters like this, and I'm really glad that DC is bringing back the Milestone slate of characters and giving them a chance at new life here in 2021. So if this character interests you or any other things about this title interest you, I wanted to make sure it was on your radar and you knew that it comes out this upcoming Tuesday as a DC book. The next book I want to mention to you is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This is issue number 1 of an 8-issue limited series, also from DC Comics. Here's the description. Kara Zor-El has seen some epic adventures over the years, but finds her life without meaning or purpose. Here she is, a young woman who saw her planet destroyed and was sent to Earth to protect a baby cousin who ended up not needing her. What was it all for? Wherever she goes, people only see her through the lens of Superman's fame. Just when Supergirl thinks she's had enough, everything changes. An alien girl seeks her out for a vicious mission. Her world has been destroyed, and the bad guys responsible are still out there. She wants revenge, and if Supergirl doesn't help her, she'll do it herself, whatever the cost. Now, a Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to their very core. Okay, I'm not a very big Superman fan. I think a lot of people are waning on Superman these days. A lot of the reasons that I think people have that attitude about Superman right now is that he's not a very interesting character. He doesn't really have much by way of conflict. He's infinitely strong, basically, when it comes right down to it. So he can basically solve most any problems that he can with his fists. And his internal struggles are, I don't know, I'm not reading it, so maybe I don't know something. If you've been reading Superman, you're like, wow, Jeff, you're really missing the boat on Superman. He really has a lot of conflict and a lot of internal struggles. You just don't know about it because you're not reading it. Let me know down in the comments. But this is the impression that I have of Superman right now. So it's interesting to me that this tale kind of talks about Supergirl's conflict and the tension that comes from not knowing her place in the world where Superman already exists. Why is there a need for a Supergirl when you already have Superman? So that is interesting to me, and as a strong female character, that's also interesting to me. I like the idea that there's this character that comes to her looking for revenge, against somebody who, it says here, destroyed her world. So it's, I don't know, there's a lot of things. This is not a title that I'm 100% comfortable with having on my list. This is more of a gut pick title this week. There's just something about this description that makes me think that Supergirl could potentially become a more interesting and enjoyable character to read about than Superman himself. So if you are a Superman fan and you've been looking for something better from your Superman stories, I believe that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow might be just the series for you. And it's an 8-issue series, so you can jump on it and read it for 8 months or 1 month or whatever, and it's not that huge of a commitment. All right, those are all of our honorable mentions for the week. We are now approaching the book this week. The one book that I would buy this week if I could buy just one book. And that book is Venom number 35, Legacy 200, the 200th issue anniversary from Marvel Comics. Here is the description. The final chapter in the Book of Venom by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. This is it, Venom Maniacs. The landmark 200th issue, starring the most sinister symbiote in the Marvel Universe, arrives. And after this, nothing will be the same. From Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, and a who's who of artists from the issues that tore Eddie Brock's life asunder and brought the King in Black to Earth, comes the first chapter of the rest of Venom's life. But in Null's wake, what even remains of the Lethal Protector? They're kind of touching on all the things about this book that I find interesting. Final chapter of this Venom book from Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. For those of you that didn't know that, they will be moving on to Hulk. Not the Immortal Hulk. The Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing is going to be stopping at issue number 50. I believe they're going to reboot and start over with a new Hulk title at issue number 1, written by Donny Cates, not Ryan Stegman, some other artist. I don't know what Ryan Stegman's going to move on to do. And Al Ewing, who has been doing Hulk, is going to do Venom moving forward with issue number 36. But that's aside. Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman have been working on this title for now 35 issues. They've been with it for almost 3 years, or I bet 3 years. So I have a feeling, if I know Donny Cates, he's going to want to go out with a bit of a bang. He's going to want to, if he felt like he hasn't already made his mark with this title, I think he's going to want to do something here at the end that is really going to make his mark. It says in the description here that after this, nothing will be the same. And I think that tracks for me with my expectations of what Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman would do with their final issue here. The King in Black miniseries was one that I really, really enjoyed. And I was hoping that it would have some significance, that it would change the Marvel Universe a bit. It has a little bit with a new title that's going to be coming out called Extreme Carnage. I talked about it in my Final Order Cutoff video. I'll put the card for it right up there if you want to check it out. So there is going to be some changes in the Marvel Universe, but I always felt like the King in Black miniseries was just an overblown Venom story. It was a Venom story that was too big just for the pages of Venom. So they blew it out into the entire Marvel Universe, did the King in Black individual kind of mini-series and all the tie-ins and everything like that. But what is that fallout going to be for the center of that story, Venom? It wasn't made clear in issue number 34, and I really think that issue number 35 is where we are going to define the future for Venom moving forward. So I'm very curious to find out what that future is going to be. I'm not the biggest Venom fan on the planet. I started reading Venom maybe about 10 issues ago, basically because of my growing appreciation for the writer Donny Cates. I also like Al Ewing, so I don't know if I'm going to continue with Venom. I may continue with Venom past this issue for issue number 36 or 37, but I'm not quite sure yet. But Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's work on Venom has been very entertaining. There are some people that are massive Venom fans, and I hope that they haven't been disappointed by the work that Donny Cates has done. If it's any indication, I don't think they have been. I hope that they'll still enjoy what Al Ewing has done. But like I said before, it'll be really, really interesting to see how Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman handle their dismount, as I'll call it, from this title. So as someone who has been enjoying the Venom title, as somebody who enjoys the work of Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman, and as someone who is extremely curious to see what the future holds for this character, for all of those reasons, that is why Venom issue number 35, the 200th anniversary issue, Legacy 200th, is my just one book pick for this week. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any feedback for me on picks for this week of yourself that I didn't mention, or any of the books that I did mention, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. And once again, if you haven't already hit the like button, here's another request I would make that you would go ahead and do so. All right, like I said before, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.